And we'll look. Hello, humans. Hello, humans. How are we doing? It's Sunday night. What's going on, everybody? Um, Kathy Bananas won't be joining us tonight. She ran off with a cannoli shell importer. Guy brings in cannoli shells from Italy, and that's it. They took off. So I'm flying solo now. Got to do my own laundry and all of that stuff. But and read this. But I can do it. I'm up to the task. I've done this before. How is everybody? Mexican Spec, what's happening? Danny Boyd, 72Z28. Mitten Made Muscle. Bill McKeisko, what's happening? Oscar Gonzalez. Ready to rock and roll. Carbide Jones, what's happening? Torino Elite. Ready for some Sunday night action. I'm gonna miss her. She was good. I gotta tell you, she was a good one. Straight Bullet, Bobby Z, Uncle No Identity. What's happening, man? And the Amish Mafia. Is it Amish or Amish? Either way, they're here. I would be afraid of those guys. I'm telling you, man. They got to be hardcore. They got to, like, if you knew the Amish were on your ass, right, you know you're in trouble. What happened to Kathy Shenanigans? Kathy Bananas, I'm telling you, she ran off with a cannoli shell importer. I knew she wasn't going to last forever. That's what it is. No, actually, her back is really screwed up. She's in the process of going through everything to get it fixed. So she's not feeling like sitting right now. She may pop in. She may stick her face in the door and scream at me about something. Jimmy Luce, what's happening? 40 Mile. Rocco, did I say hi to you? Of course I did. Rocco, no, not rest in peace. She's not dead. 72Z20 says, I never messed with the Amish. I saw Witness. I never saw it, but they got to be hardcore. You know what I mean? They got to be the kind of people you really don't want to screw around with. Zero is in the house. We can all relax now. Take it down a couple of notches. Charlie Roma is in the house. Charlie, how you doing, brother man? Territory Tony, what was the news that Art was talking about Thursday? So I can't tell you. I can't. I just can't. But it's not what you would expect, right? The hell was that? Let's see. Elmo is asking if he should buy Bitcoin. I'm in it. I'm in crypto. I've got a pretty diverse portfolio as far as crypto holdings go. Now, I don't trust them. I see cryptos as vaporware, right? It's all going to disappear, right? It's like a rug pull. It's a scam. Cryptos are a scam. That said, I'm very well diversified throughout the crypto space. I'm in it because I know there's going to be a short rocket ride and then a wipeout. So it just depends. It just depends on where you're coming from. If you're looking at it as a speculative investment, like it's like going to Vegas. You know what I mean? It's like I got this extra money burning a hole in my pocket. I'm going to throw it down on the table and see what happens. So treat crypto like that, and you could make a lot of friggin' money. But don't think of it as like gold. You know what I mean? Or something that's going to be a long-term store of value. Right? It's not. It's not. Andrea Alvarez. Good evening, Andrea. Right? I say that a lot, don't I? I should start editing. Have Kathy Bananas editing out of the videos. I say that so much. Josh Holman, it is good to be here as well. I'm glad to have all of you guys with me. Did I see that in the video? I don't follow the equity markets at all. 70 CUDA GT, Tony. In my opinion, the C4 Corvette is the best deal. Oh, hang on. I lost it. C4 Corvette. Oh, there we go. Okay. In my opinion, the C4 Corvette is the best deal. A new hot guy getting started. I don't know about hot guys, man. I'm so hetero, it's not even funny. Okay, it's weird actually how straight I am. So I can't really give you advice on hot guys and C4 Corvettes. C4s are a good deal. I mean, yes, you can buy them for pennies compared to let's see. Rocco is saying, check out Tony Angelo's Corvette content. Yeah. Let's see. Googer. Googernaut. Is that a Googer Newt? Okay. Hi, Tony. I've been trying to ask you about constant velocity carburetors. What about them? I what about them? Let's see. Thunderstruck 666. G body is the best deal to get started. I agree. If I didn't have any brand affiliations and I was just getting involved in stuff, yeah, I would go with the G body. Yeah, G body crisis. They've been getting a little crazy for a long time now. Because it's like so many different people want them. Hot rod people want them. Restoration guys want them. The guys who do the donks and stuff like that, they love those things, especially cutlasses. So yeah, you got some competition for a very popular vehicle. Andre, good evening, sir. Good evening, Andre. Enjoyed the rebroadcast on a 5.0 history. So did I, man. So did I. I like I said in that video, right? It's like I says, because I really don't like to look at older videos, like because everything I do is cringeworthy. You just can't. Okay, so but I clicked on that one and I said I'll just watch like 2 minutes of this, and I ended up watching the whole thing. And after I was done, I was like, man, I got to get these guys together again. You know what I mean? But that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. And Bernie is gone. So I was like, yeah, let's just repost this for the people who hadn't seen it the first time around. Zero Uncle Normal. Who is Uncle Normal? When did I become normal? The lighting is so terrible here. I have darkness on this side. Let's see. Great content. You need to get Neil on a live. I agree. Neil is hard to get a hold of. He's hard to nail down. He was always hard to nail down. Even back when he was around every day, he was hard to nail down, and now it's even worse. My brother is here. Did I see him? No. Oh, there he is. Swap Rat, what's happening, my brother? Waiting for you to visit, man. We're waiting for you to visit. Hardy boy, you enjoyed the Mustang video? Thank you, man. Learned a few things about Mustangs. Yeah, that was such a great time. And the thing is, you know me as a carburetor guy, right? Points and carb. I love points. I love carburetors, right? But back then, I was like all about the EFI. It wasn't until years later that I says, you know what? I want total control. I don't want anything, mysterious. And not that computers are mysterious, but in other words, I want analog, right? And that's when I went back to carburetors and conventional ignitions. Oh, okay. Guggenheim, he was talking about the constant velocity carburetors. Repeating, Where do they work well opposed to constant Venturi carburetors, and why American manufacturers will allow us something to test on the bike? CV carburetors want to be mounted horizontally, right? So they work on motorcycles. They work great on motorcycles. On an engine, on an internal combustion engine, or I should say internal combustion engine, I'm sorry, on an automobile engine, there's no room for it. You know what I mean? You would need, you know, in other words, like, and there are CV setups like on inline fours, inline sixes, and stuff like that. But we use traditionally V8s. There's really no packaging for it, and so the downdraft carburetor is just the thing. Let's see. You guys were all talking about Corvettes. Okay. Yeah, you guys are really into the Corvettes here. EFI, we all got stupid. Hey, Mish Mafia, right? See, this is what I'm saying. We all got stupid at one time. No, I mean, I worked with fuel injection, like I said, from the very beginning. I was a mechanic in the late 70s, all through the 80s. In between all of the things I would do, I did magazines, I did nitro cars, I did you name it. I've done all of these things, but I was always a mechanic at the same time. I always maintained a small shop. I always had customers and stuff like that. So I worked with fuel injection from the get-go all the way until I really got away from the business entirely around 2007 or thereabouts. And I went strictly to the Mopar parts business. So it's like I'm no stranger to any of this stuff. Just in my own life, I want things that I can control. Yes, Boomer. C-Ford's failed variable Venturi carburetor. Oh, that was such a disaster. I remember those things like it was yesterday. The Chrysler Imperial fuel injection. Yeah. How about the digital Cadillac systems from, like, what was that, 1979 or 1980? Steve Michael, he's a G-body guy. Nice. Oldsmobile. $27 motors. I got stuck in Eastern Washington with variable Venturi. Wouldn't vary. That was a bad carburetor. What was this now? New York NYS GTO UT. We went fast on thin oil in 5.0 days. Can we do that on irons on 1960s iron clearances? So it depends on the application, right? Like, for instance, on Bottle Rocket, which is the car's only purpose, right, is just AB. That's it, right? AB. And the car's really set up for 8th miles. That's it. You know what I mean? So everything is geared, everything is worked for that 8th mile deal. I use like a 5-weight oil in it. You know what I mean? I might as well just use transmission fluid in the damn thing. It has 0 oil pressure. And big clearances. So it depends on the use. You know what I mean? It depends on the use. Now, if I was to be driving that car, you know what I mean? No, I want a significant barrier there. You know what I mean? For all conditions and all. Yeah. I would say the 1030. Stay in that 1030 range. You know, to keep everything happy. That's what they were designed for. That's what works best in the aggregate of situations that you're going to come across. Hot, cold. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Let's see. Motorcycle. How can mechanical fuel injection parts cost so much? It's a complex system, yes, but it's all very simple components. If you're talking about an aftermarket setup like Hillborn or Enderley, they're expensive because they're tiny companies, right? They don't. There's not a lot of volume. So if there's not a lot of volume, the unit cost, is always going to be more expensive. So yeah, you could spend a fortune trying to set up a basic Hilborn setup. Um, that's why it's small volume. There's not a lot of people, and the reason most people stay away from it is because that see, and you think there'd be more people in drag racing that would use mechanical injection, and it's funny because if you go back to like the 1960s, 1970s, a lot of people use mechanical fuel injection. The biggest problem with like Hilborns or Enderleys or Kinsler and any of the mechanical fuel injection systems is mid-range, okay, off idle. Like for instance, on a carburetor setup, right, where you would be in the transfer slot. Well, that's the area where mechanical fuel injection gives you a problem. They idle. You can get them to idle really nice, really clean, right, and wide open throttle, all about it, okay. But to find that part throttle drivability it starts to become a plumbing nightmare with all of these different bypasses and pills and jets. And, you know what I mean? It's like you can go really crazy. Or you got to go really crazy to get it to perform like a carburetor. But because they're finicky like that, they're not very popular. And since they're not very popular, the companies that make the stuff got to charge a lot, for each individual piece. Kinsler fuel injection is pricey, yes, but really nice stuff. And if you're going like circle track racing, you're going like sprint cars and whatnot. That's that's the game in town. They've got that mastered. Olive is in the house. What's happening, Olive? Let me see here. We got some new comments. Andrew Button, it sounds like the variable Vittori Ford carb had transition problems. Yeah, it did. Like people have what Holly Dominator is more similar than different. Maybe no, the variable Vittori is nothing like the Holly Dominator. The thing with the Holly Dominator is it's a race carburetor. Well, the 2-circuit ones, the 3-circuit ones are more street oriented. The variable Venturi just I can't tell you why it didn't work. I can just tell you that they were always unhappy. They were always unhappy. Miserable gas mileage. That was the biggest problem with them. Just bad gas mileage. Joe K. Tony, how to determine your header primary diameter size and collector diameter for a particular application? You go to one of the header manufacturers and you put in all of the specifications of your setup into their calculator, and it'll tell you exactly what you need. That's simple. Dakota's in the house. What's happening, brother? Let's see. Amish Mafia, for a fun car, go to Racers Flea Markets up north in winter. You can find mechanical injection for a song. Really? I'm not that I'm in the market for any mechanical fuel injection, but I still have, believe it or not, I still have a lot of like Hilborn and Enderley stuff kicking around, like nozzle holders. I have some jets. I have a couple of bypass pills. I got like a fuel shutoff or two kicking around. It's just you just go around like digging through the bottom of my boxes and in corners and whatnot, and there's still a good bit of like mechanical fuel injection shit laying around. Let's see. Hot shoe, or get my virtual dyno app. Okay. Hot shoe, you have the fuel altered? Kathy Bananas put the picture of my fuel altered on the thumbnail of this. I don't know if did it make it on there? I don't know. Is there a picture of a fuel altered on the thumbnail? There should be. And if there is, that was mine, Hot shoe. It was my first one. I had two. Um, Danny Boyd has EEC 4 injection stuff kicking around. Tony, I wanted to see your face drinking horchata tonight. Oh, dude, I completely forgot. But I'm Mexican, man. I'm doing the Mexican. So next week we'll do the horchata. Yes, the bomb squad. Um, let's see. Oh man, I got quiet. Uh, so I keep seeing this. I keep saying, but I don't know anything about it. But people keep bringing this up in the comments of videos. A guy in Africa does conversion, designed his own ECU, makes rails for injection, electronic from mechanical. That's interesting. Do you have a name for this? Because I keep seeing it. People keep bringing it up in the comments, asking me to comment on it, and I don't know anything about it. Um, HW, what do you think a rolling chassis for a Fox body should cost? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, I imagine you also a roller. When you say a roller, I mean one that's already set for racing. It's got a cage, that sort of thing, or just a bare roller. Because I would say that like $1,500, $2,000 for like a regular roller, nothing special to it, and maybe like 4,500, 5,000 for one that's got a basic cage and suspension and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, Flipper Dolphin. Uh, Flipper, the Dolphin. Yes. Okay. Checked out a running 1970 GTO 455 Auto AC running rag top. Comes with new rear glass. Asking $8,700. Really? I mean, why would you not just jump on it? It must be a disaster for a running 70 goat 455 convertible, right? Running, right? $8,700. I mean, it's like there's a lot of numbers missing off of that because a car like that, if it's solid, decent condition, I mean, 20 to $30,000 would be like a floor. So I mean, is the whole thing made out of like paper mache? Um, let me see here. Um, a Mexican spec. Oh, I didn't Mexican spec. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing the comments over here. Um, I didn't realize you lost a dog. I'm sorry. Yeah, condolences, man. My thoughts are with you. I've lost many of them, and it is the hardest thing you ever have to deal with. Um, Sorry about that, bro. Rocco is saying people can't pay their bills. Projects getting listed left and right. I've been watching Marketplace, and yeah, it's absolutely right. It- people are starting to dump projects. Um, Let me see here. I'm just scrolling back real quick. Um, okay, up to date. Um, Yeah, lots of condolences for Mexican Specs Pup. Um, Futura Hardtop is saying probably Le Mans with GTO emblems. I mean, possibly, but even that, a running 455, you know, even if it's a fake GTO, a fake GTO, right? Which is we used to call them back in the day because these guys put GTO emblems on everything. Um, yeah, that's still a song. Mark Sylvia, you have 10 dogs. Wow. Yep. And no matter what, one passes, it's always hard, no matter how many. Yeah, I know. Um, let's see. I hear Kathy Bananas
Why are you lying
stirring in the
about me?
background. What's that?
Why are you lying about me?
What am I lying about you?
You said I ran off with a cannoli.
The cannoli importer, cannoli
Yeah,
show
no, that
importer.
didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
No, I'm right here, you liar.
They can't see you. They can.
He's lying about me.
I'm not. Well, she came back. She.
I can't sit, everybody, so you're stuck with just Tony. Sorry.
And Fubar put up a link to our merch.
Have
Even
fun,
though,
guys.
so even though Kathy Bananas is completely incapacitated at the moment,
A little bit.
you can still put her to work by buying our merch.
No, please.
Make Uncle Kathy Bananas suffer by buying our merch because she has to package all this stuff.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Oscar Gonzalez says peekaboo.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Let's see. We can forgive Kim. They love you, Kathy Bananas. She loves you too. Did Kathy's 8-track of the safety dance break? She's oh man, I had people. I don't remember how long ago. It was a while ago, but I had people believing that she was the blonde dancer on the safety dance. Which when she was younger, actually, she made a striking resemblance to that. But yeah, no, she wasn't actually the one on the safety dance. Um, David Morgan is saying most projects are being sold as we are getting older and we are getting fewer. Most younger people want Skylines and WRX and Supras, but I'm happy they enjoy them and everything motor vehicles. Oh, I agree. But let me tell you something. The younger guys, they love our stuff. You know, like I talk to younger guys all the time. They're in their 20s and their 30s, and they have imports. They're very into that scene, right? But they love our cars. They have no interest in like earlier street rod type of thing. They have no interest in 50s cars. They have no interest in customs, any of these fads that have come and gone. But universally across the board, they love traditional American muscle cars. Kids that are in their teens and in their 20s and their 30s, they work with what they can afford, but they love the traditional muscle car stuff. So it's all going to stay in good hands. And we get a lot of guys on this channel. So if YouTube will break down the demographics, like the age groups of people who watch your videos, and we only have maybe like 15% that are in that like under 25-year-old range, but they're seriously into it. You know what I mean? And they're watching videos like ours and other channels to learn about these cars, learn the culture and the ways, and you know what I mean. They really do have a high. They hold what we do in a high regard. I wish it was the other way around too. It bothers me when guys of our generation, throw pot shots at like the ricers and the fart pipes and all the other shit. That kills me because it's like those kids today are doing exactly what we were doing, and they're working with what they have. They're working with what's available. They're working within their means and their budget. And it's like they should have all the support in the world. Those old guys should be behind them every step of the way. Loud burns. A lot of the younger guys I meet at car shows are just baffled by old tech. Yes, I know. And that's why they watch videos like ours, because they want to know about carburetors. They want to know about points or conventional distributors, just distributors, period. You realize that somebody who's like in their 30s, right? And came up like through normal means, working with cars of the era, has never seen a distributor. They've never actually touched a distributor, electronic or points or otherwise, right? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of the things that we take for granted is like, oh, I'm a distributor. That's foreign tech to these guys. That's like Area 51 stuff. Um, Google Newt, younger guy here, hate mods that create the side effects of power without actual gains. I'm with you on that. If you're talking about guys who just go by like dyno numbers and whatnot, yeah, I'm with you. I don't like the dyno culture. You know what I mean? It's like a dyno is a good tuning tool. It's a good idea to give you it's good to give you an idea what's going on there. But people who just race like that's it. It's just like here's my dyno sheet. I look at my dyno sheet. That's yeah. Actually put it on the pavement and point it at the other end and see what it's going to do. That's in my mind the only true dyno is the mile an hour figure on the time slip. Um, yeah, Yoda man, fear information. Only real men smoke unfiltered cigarettes. No filters, baby. Real men quit too, and I did quit. I quit cold turkey. We've gone through this. I quit cold turkey a couple of weeks ago. Haven't touched one since. The urge to smoke is strong. You know what I mean? Like I haven't gotten out of my system, but I quit, and I'm better for it. I'm healthier for it. I don't taste like a ashtray anymore. So quitting was the best thing I've ever done. Um, and so news, right? News. Do you put cold gravy on your cold turkey? I don't eat cold anything, man. Unless it's ice cream, I want it hot. Okay. Uh, Das Hindenburg. I got Das Hindenburg to do a burnout today. Right? Yes. So we were supposed to go to the truck last night, and it just wasn't going to happen. Kathy Bananas needed me around the house, so we got to take care of domestic things before we do anything at a drag strip, right? But I got up to the shop today, and I was screwing around with it, and playing with this, playing with that, playing with the other thing, and I was like, I wonder if it'll do a burnout now, right? So yeah, I rolled it up on the concrete and just wham, and she did a great burnout, and she pulls really strong. I got the tack working, right? As I had the tack in the car, but it wasn't working, and so help me, the thing pulls hard to 6 grand. I never ever would have expected it, but it does. I figured it was going to get to like 5,000 and just like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, no more, right? No, it actually pulls. I watched the needle swing right up to 6 grand before I let off it. I was running out of room. Das Hindenburg actually runs pretty damn good. Um, David Morgan is saying, quitting was the best thing I ever done. As you puff on a smoke, the best quote ever. Oh, yeah. No, it is the best thing I've ever done. I've done a lot of good things, and quitting smoking was it. Does Hindenburg have a 361? Yes. It's a 30 over 361. So 1962, is it? I'm 61 to 62, 361. It's a 9.5 to 1 compression. It's got a cam in it. It's a Illuminati cam. I don't remember what it was. I stuck it in there a couple of years ago, and it was just like whatever. So it was one of those cases. I had this thing on the shelf. I said, okay, here's a cam on the shelf. Here's an engine. Woof. Okay, so that's how much thought went into the cam selection, and it's got a stock cast iron intake manifold on it. which I'm going to screw around with. I want to play around with different intake manifolds. But I wanted the longest runner I could get. I figured I need bottom end torque with this thing. So what I had on hand, like obviously like something like an Edelrock Performer would have been a better choice. But what I had on hand was a stock 1972 400, which was actually a very good manifold. 400 4-barrel intake manifold. So that's what's on there now with a couple of spacers and then the mixer. I'm going to try a I have an Edelbrock Torquer, and actually that's the only manifold I have right now. But I want to go out. We'll go out at first with the manifold that's on it now, and then I'll play around with a single plane and see what it does. But that little 361, I'm telling you, I was very bummed on the whole. You know, I was like, oh, this is just a total waste of time, right? I was really starting to get like disenchanted with the whole thing, and today changed my outlook on it entirely. Right, the gears, a little more tweaking, a little turn this, turn that, nudge the other thing, and damn if it didn't come around much stronger than I thought it would. Much stronger than I thought it would. And the throttle response is fantastic. Let's see. Harry Lister, did anybody watch the Goodwood races today? I love that stuff. Dude crashed and got thrown. Oh no. Is he okay? Hope he's okay. Let's see. Elmo. Tony got a super low mileage Vortec 350 with dish pistons on my vet, and I want to swap in flat tops. Will they drop in without any machine work? Absolutely. Are the factory bore sizes spot on? Standard bore to standard bore, right? Yes. I mean, they're as close as you're going to get. There may be slight variations, but in terms of like street clearances, you're fine. Don't even give it a second thought. As long as you're going from a standard bore to a standard bore, right? Or 10 over to 10 over, right? That type of thing. Yeah, just swap them right out. And you'll pick up probably a point in compression. You go from like 8.5 to like 9.5 to 1. Tell me about this Goodwood guy. I hope he did okay. Stephen S. Paul, I have a damn nice front bumper for Das Hindenburg sitting here. Shame, I don't want a bumper for it. I think I got a bumper for it up in the attic. No, I like that car. I like that car just the way it is. I love that car just the way it is. 27 motors, Hindenburg. What was the tweak that did it? The switching from the 323s to 486s. Huge difference. Huge difference. Okay. Which you would kind of expect. I thought it would pull the 323 stronger, better than it would, and it would. But that gear change was big, and then backing off the timing. It's at 28 degrees right now, and it's ballpark. It's very close to 28 degrees. It's sub 30. Okay. So in other words, like I've got a line there at 30, and it's just to the low side of 30. So it's at about 28 degrees. That's where it wants to be. It starts like you hit the button, vroom, like it rolls over twice and lights right off. So it's just like little things, just little things. I'm actually very happy with it. Very happy with it. Harry Lister is saying this is a guy that Goodwood. He spun into the wall and got thrown out of the vehicle. Picture a race car from 1900s, no seatbelts, totally open. Oh, I mean, I've seen pictures of those. Oh man, I've seen pictures of the old timers. You know, like when they used to race like midgets and stuff like that, and the guys are flying through the air like they're like 30 feet off the ground, and I couldn't imagine. Could not imagine. Let's see. Andrew Button, do you think the Hindenburg will break the 8 3/4? No, never, never, never. It'll never break that 8 3/4. It's okay. So when I say that it's strong, I mean it in relative sense. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not going to go chase the street outlaws across the country with with this little propane 361. So all things are relative, right? So for what it is, for a 361 on propane, with like no converter or anything like that, uh, it's much stronger than I had anticipated. Um, let's see. But you might get some advice from him. Oh, Mark. Okay, I had sent you info on a local race heater ran propane on one of your videos. It got deleted. I didn't see it. I did not see it. Yeah, you see me going up to farm truck with the propane. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what though. It occurred to me today as I was screwing around with it. It might make it like an ultimate bracket car, which is something that see I missed that whole thing, right? I went from street racing to Top Fuel, okay, and that whole middle ground I missed, right? Never participated in it, and I running like playing around with the. I beat on that car a lot today. I went through about a half a tank of propane today, just screwing around. There was no traffic, nobody around, so I got on it. I ran it to a few different places and ran it up through the gears. Um, and it was as I was thinking about it, I'm like, this setup just the way it is could make a very repeatable, very predictable bracket car, and it might give me a chance to actually get like because I have no my off the line game is weird. It's all over the map. Like I can chop down a tree when I have to, but I can't do it consistently. So this might be something that I could just cut my teeth and learn the skills involved in bracket racing, which I just absolutely do not have. And yeah, Raymond Cavallo is saying bracket racing can be fun. I know, I know. I never participated in it. When I was younger, right? I used to see to me, remember my background, like where I come from, okay? And to me, bracket racing was like the like automotive communism. You know what I mean? And I remember calling it that, right? It's like it's like that's so commie bracket racing, right? Like, oh, make everybody equal. But I have a different outlook on it today. I see it differently today. Um, Corey, Dr. Hindenburg, is the kind of an experiment, or do you plan on taking it to a certain level limit? Yes, it's absolutely an experiment, and I do want to try different things with it. I'm curious what nitromethane will do with, in addition to propane. So in other words, what I'd like to do at some point with this thing, probably sooner than later, is plumb nitromethane into it the same way you'd use nitrous oxide. Now, I don't think nitrous oxide is going to be a good match for it because of how would I introduce the extra fuel that you would need to put nitrous oxide to work. There's a lot of limits with the way you can introduce propane into an engine, right? So nitrous oxide, I thought about it at first. Maybe a small dry shot could do something, but I'm curious as to what would happen if you were to introduce nitromethane into it. Like so the motor would run primarily on the propane, but add nitro to it to extend the burn, right? Because the propane is used up real quickly because of vapor. So if you were to throw an oxygen bearing, because remember, nitromethane releases oxygen as it burns. So if you were to throw some nitro in there, inject it the same way, similar you would with nitrous oxide. I'm curious as to how that would work. I think they would actually be very compatible with each other, but we'll find out. David Morgan, bracket racing is always great as long as your times are consistent. It's any racer enjoyment, regardless of how much dollar you throw at your car. You're competitive regardless. I know, I like that. And the thing about this particular car, the way it's set up, is it seems to be very repeatable. Every time you hit the gas, boom, does the same thing. Comes up the same way. It's a little soft on the initial hit, right? So like it doesn't snap to the way gasoline does, right? It's like it rolls into the power instead of like the power going boom like that, right? It's like whoa, right? So I think that might make it very consistent. You know what I'm saying? I think this might be the kind of car where you could just flat punch it every time. And you know what I mean? And it'll repeat, And I think that's what gave me the idea of this. Because every time I hit it, it did exactly the same thing every way, every time. So that's what made me start thinking bracket car. Um, uh, Territory, Tony, first time I've heard about Kinsler mechanical fuel injection. Are these systems viable for daily driving? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you that the basic, I said, like I said before, the basic issue with mechanical fuel injection is part throttle, right? The same circuitry that is on a carburetor for like the transition circuit, that's where mechanical fuel injection is lacking, and it takes a lot of finesse to tune one. A lot of finesse and a lot of hardware to tune one to where it is drivable like that. I would imagine that the Kinsler systems are probably because they use them on circle track on like sprint cars and stuff like that, and I imagine they might be a little more sophisticated than a primarily drag oriented system. So, but I don't know enough about them to give you an educated opinion. Contact them, right? You know what I mean? Give them a call and ask them. Uh, Mauser nut. Very interested in nitromethane. I antique tractor pull on propane and have been contemplating nitro for years. Dude, I think it's a natural mix. I think they're complementary. I think they would be complementary. Well, I'm going to find out. We're going to find out. Let me just get the car out and just put it through its paces, right? Just become accustomed to it, right? And then we'll start playing around with stuff like that. But first, before we do that, I want to make sure it's going to do the same thing every time. You know what I mean? So we know that we've maximized it, and then we could play around with like adding propane or adding nitromethane. Amish Mafia, you come to War in the Woods. The plan, so yes, we want to run Bottle Rocket. And now, Andy Wood, Unity Motorsports Garage, and I talked last year about taking it to War in the Woods in May, and that's not going to happen. It won't work with the engine that's in the car. The engine that's in the car just ain't going to happen. But I do have a motor I'm putting together for it, and I'm not. I have no pretense of being able to like go rounds with this thing. But I think in the early stages, when the track's kind of snotty and things are a little inconsistent, I think we had a chance to go around or two with the car. So we'll find out. But yeah, I would like to be there. Let's see. Some of my carbs are annoying when off-camber off-roading. That's why I'm looking for an alternative. You're talking about propane, that's what they use it for. That's the big thing with propane, you know, like rock crawlers and stuff like that. They love that. Quadrajets work good off-road. Tim Miller, Can anyone drag race it? No name drags. I don't know the way they have it. I don't know. You want to get a hold of John Wilburn, right? John, go to John Wilburn's channel because he runs that thing. It used to be that you had to have 500 subs. If you had 500 subs, you could qualify to be in the No Name Nationals. I don't know if it's still that way or not. Let's see. Okay, Mexican Spec is saying you have to have 500 subs on your YouTube channel. Yeah, John Wilburn. Tell him I said hi. Space Invader, is he a 73 Roadrunner? No, it's not. It's not. Amish Mafia, why is Kinsler fuel injection out? Okay, Dallas is the sanctioning. All right, Dallas is the AHR, the American Hot Rod Association, and he's the sanction. He sanctions it, and John actually runs the event. Keith Lewin, I cannot hardly get anyone to watch my YouTube channel. Join the club. Join the club, my brother. Ceiling. Russ, Tony, the pill for mechanical fuel injection controlling, yes. Tony's old gang. Yeah, the No Name Nationals guys. They kind of like booted me out. They didn't like me. Just the No Name National guys in general. Not John. But there was a lot of like overt hostility. That I said, no. We're just gonna back out of this thing. Robert Rio. Tony, have you ever heard of Casey the Car Guy on YouTube? Just heard him on Tucker Carlson's podcast. He fabricated a turbo diesel sports car that gets over 100 miles per gallon and runs mid for 0 to 60 seconds. I've heard of it. I've heard of it. Hang on, I gotta address this. SOP. Tony doesn't like transgenders. That's not true, bro. I have a friend that is. I don't care. I do not care what you do with yourself, right? Don't hurt animals, don't hurt kids. Beyond that, I could care less what you do. And I see everybody as an individual. I don't ever say that I don't like transgenders because it's just not true. Where was this? Okay. We were talking about that Casey Pooch thing. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I didn't see the Tucker Carlson thing. I did see a little bit of one of the videos this guy Casey put on the car. I don't know. I gotta really look at it. I don't know. I don't know. Um, David Morgan, just remember the pills are backwards to jets. The larger the pill, the leaner. Yes. So that's one of the uh, that's one of the things that people who do carburetors or electronic fuel injection don't really get is about mechanical fuel injection, because mechanical fuel injection is completely controlled by how much you're sending back to the tank. And that's why you get that middle ground. So like there's idle, okay? Just send a bunch of fuel back to the tank. And there's wide open throttle, send not very much back to the tank, right? But at part throttle, that's where you start running into, because I've seen guys with mechanical setups that they've run on the street that have like 3 and 4 bypasses, right? Pills. Because remember, the pump is a direct one-to-one relationship as far as RPM goes. So the higher the RPM, the higher the pressure to a point, higher the volume. And so to go like part throttle, it's not easy. I've never done it. I mean, I've run mechanical fuel injection on the nitro cars. I lived mechanical fuel injection for a decade. But for as far as setting up for a street car and working out that part throttle, return, yeah, no, I've seen people do it. It's a plumbing nightmare. And it never really seems to work very well for very long. It's not for a novice. No, it really isn't. Um, Shangri-La, can you do a live video while driving around? Uh, I've never done a video with my phone. Um, I honestly, when I'm driving around, I'm in my own head. Like that's when I'm brainstorming and thinking and working stuff out. It's like I don't want to talk when I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I don't see myself doing any live videos from the car. Uh, let's see. Uh, Andrew Button, would a lean burn distributor computer be compatible with Kinsler? No, mechanical fuel injection. No, no. Um, let's see. It's fun to watch you bang gears. I like banging gears. Uh, Studer, I agree with the phone while driving thing. It's too much for me. Yeah, I guess I spend a lot of time. If it wasn't for interacting like with Kathy Bananas and stuff like that, I could literally go days without uttering a sound. I talk because I gotta make videos. I talk because I gotta like communicate to people like parts stores and stuff like that. But I can literally, I would be fine going for like a couple of days with just never uttering a sound. I spent a lot of time in my own head. Um, Googling the Germans, yes, the Bosch mechanical fuel injection. Um, yes, it ends up looking like the diesel pump. Yeah, so there are several variations of mechanical fuel injection that are factory sorted, factory plumbed. It's different when you talk about an aftermarket, a race oriented thing, right? I guess shouldn't really throw all mechanical fuel injection into one pot, right? Because yes, the Bosch great system, and I worked on many of them back in the day when they were fairly common. Um, But that's different than when you take a race-oriented system like Hilborn, Enderley, or Kinsler, or anything like that, and try to make it work like a street unit. It becomes a whole different animal. Firefly Bosch Mechanical used a mass airflow sensor pressure regulator. It was key to simplifying things. The early ones didn't have that. And yes, of course, diesels, the mechanical fuel injection. We're talking about taking a race-oriented system and converting it to run on a street. SRP has been reading up on the Gilded Age. Wasn't that an interesting period of time? Remy Kusher, Alfa Romeo had Spica injection, which was pretty good, especially with the air. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. But then again, I'm not a big Alfa Romeo guy either. Let's see. Are you a little late to the party, man? That's so like 2021. So yes, so the Rochester mechanical fuel injection. Okay, the problem with those things. No, I've never worked or tried to tune. Should I? Okay, have I ever worked on one? No, I've never worked on one, but I did look at them. Okay, and there was something having to do the weak point on the Rochester system had something to do with pressure under the hood, where at speed, when you had a lot of air, and I've got to be as vague about this as I can because I don't know the specifics, but there was some situation that would happen at speed when there was a lot of airflow under the hood that would change the pressure, that the atmospheric pressure that the Rochester system was using to meter and throw it off. Like it would go lean or it would go rich. I think it would go lean. Either way, there was an issue with the Rochester setup being affected by underhood pressure. If anybody's familiar with that system and can like be more technical about it than I just spit out, right? I'm like a 9-year-old girl. Thing, right? So if anybody knows that system a little bit more intimately and can actually express what I was trying to, that would be great. That would be helpful. Hunter Collier. Hey, Tony, if you had to choose between an Edelbrock and a Quadjet for a daily driven carburetor, what would you run for ease of use for a 28-year-old kid such as myself? The Edelbrock. The Edelbrock. Not that there's anything wrong with a Quadjet. They're excellent carburetors. But the Edelbrock is more forgiving as far as heat goes, because especially today with the low boiling point of today's gasoline. The biggest problem with the Quadjet is it has the float bowl, is a very small float bowl, and the float bowl is mounted in the center of the carburetor, whereas Edelbrock it's off to the side. So because the float is in the center of the carburetor, it's more subject to heat soak. right? Because the body of the carburetor gets hot and it just wants to boil the gas that's in the bowl. You have much less of that effect with an Edelbrock. So, and if you want to tune, you want to make small changes, changing the drop rods on an Edelbrock carburetor, richen it, lean it, right? Play around. It's so easy. It's so simple. Excuse me. I would recommend. I would use an Edelbrock before I would use a Carburetor. Let's see. Fantastic information. I have both in my garage, but haven't swapped anything to my '84 Caprice yet. Yeah, just keep in mind too the Quadrojet's 800 CFM, the Edelbrock, they make it 800 CFM. It doesn't quite flow 800. It flows more like a 750 Holly. So if you want equal to equal, like wide open throttle power, you need the bigger Edelbrock. Most of the Edelbrocks, the vast majority of Edelbrocks you see out there, like 8 out of 10 of them are 600s, which is going to leave you a couple of hundred CFM shy. Rocco is saying it only took one leaky Holly to convince me to go AFB or Edelbrock. I did a whole video on that, right? Now, if it's a race engine, right? Yeah, Holly all the way, right? There's just no comparison. If it's a race motor, Holly. If you have to rely on it on the street and you want it to work year after year after year and never give you any trouble and never have to chase leaks or anything like that, Edelbrock, 100% all day, every day. Brand Hudson. Smoky unit played with the Chevy mechanical injection system. It is based on a pressure differential, and when it's speed, it crapped out. Well, that's what I was saying. His fix was to open the glove box and cut a hole to the underhood. Interesting. So to relieve the pressure, that makes sense. But who's going to do that on their production car? You know what I mean? It's like, Scarlet Fire, my silver and gold rounds are rejoicing. What? Hang on, I got to see, because the market's open. So I got to give this a quick look. My fellow metals guys. Oh, nice. Gold's up, $3.53 to $3,229. Silver's down. Silver's down 5 cents to 32.02. So there's our Sunday night metals update. Rocco, power valves too, might as well go by astrology. People like to blame the power valve for a lot of stuff. You know, the power valve gets blamed a lot for other flaws that are commonly found in the Holly carburetor, because they're prone, the throttle body itself, the main body of the carburetors are prone to warping. And it's not just new carburetors. It's like always, it's just that particular design and the materials that they make it out of and have always made it out of is prone to warping and moving around. And as it warps, it'll start to give you all of the symptoms of a bad power valve. Power valves they get blamed for a lot of stuff that isn't really their fault. Josh Homan, $3,200 is 3,200 an ounce is ridiculous. It was 400 a few years ago, dude. I bought in it I started buying it $259. I cannot pronounce that name. Uh, I'm sorry. I imagine you're Russian. Um, is it true that to get more horsepower, you need to adjust mixture more towards rich? Well, you want to maintain ratio. Um, Rich is safe. Lean is so okay. The higher up the power ladder you go, the more critical it is, right? Um, you want to always err on the side of rich because lean will give you detonation. Detonation will cause problems, right? That's where you start breaking stuff. So once you get into, let's say, turbocharged, supercharged, nitrous, anything like that, anything that makes a lot of power, then yes, you want to have it to the rich side, but not so much that the ratio is not going to make the right power. But err towards rich. That's when I say yes, you're Russian. Garage 54, man, I love those guys. I love those guys. They are the hardest working people on YouTube. They're the most creative people on YouTube. Amazing, amazing. I have nothing but respect for my Russian brothers. Um, David Morgan, 90% of hollies I fix for others is the float level set too high. That's common. That's common. A lot of people don't know how to set it with the sight plug and all. Um, Gnarly Blade, what's your take on quench? I'm not sure if 51 thousandths piston the deck clearance may be too much. I've heard people as target 40. Evidently, 35 is the number. From what I mean, from what I just cumulative, like, picking up here and there, right? 35 evidently is the number. Less than 35, um, more prone to possible detonation. More than 35, and you're not really getting true quench. So it's like 35, I believe, is the number. Now, that said, the last quench motor, the last time I attempted to build a quench, I attempted to build a quench motor. I actually did build a quench motor. I actually had the pistons hitting the head. Now, the old saying among stock eliminator racers from back in the day was that if the piston isn't hitting the cylinder head, you're leaving power on the table. So I actually built one where the pistons at higher RPM, the piston actually lightly tapped the head. I remember the first time it found friendly clearance, right? But it was actually so close that a couple of pistons actually touched the cylinder head. Never hurt anything, never damaged anything, ran like a scolded ape. But like I said, back to you saying about 51 thousandths, I think 35 is supposed to be the number. If anybody knows more about it than I do, please throw your 2 cents in. Round Mets, good night. Greetings from Brazil. Love watching your channel. It's hard to get good information and trying things get real expensive. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I love the fact that we have viewers from all these different parts of the world. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for watching, man. I genuinely appreciate it. 72Z28, good night, brother, man. Good having you around. I'm just scrolling back through to see if I missed anything interesting. Yeah, cross plane Lada. You're talking about Garage 54. They are the hardest working people in all of YouTube. The only thing I wish they would do is create I know they have drag racing in Russia. I wish they would just have just a slightly more accurate way of getting numbers on the stuff that they do, just for before and after comparisons and stuff. I mean, I appreciate them, creeping around the back of the shop in the snow and all that. That's cool, but I really wish they would actually set up like just a timed course, even if it's just like a 330-foot run. You know what I mean? Where they could quantify changes that they make. The only criticism or the only thing I'd like to see them do on that channel that they haven't done yet. They're fantastic. I really do love their channel. Wheelie King, what's happening, brother? Do you remember what your build clearance was in that motor, Tony? Did you build for 0 or 10 or something very curious? No. It was a 440. The engine I'm talking about right now was a 440. I had 67, the closed chamber heads on it, and I had pistons that were just above deck, right? Just above deck. And I used a steel shim gasket on it. So the way it worked out on paper was 0. It wasn't that I was shooting for that. It was like, these were the pistons that I had. These were the heads that I had, and this were the gaskets that I had, and I put it all together, and it just worked out to 0. Didn't do it intentionally. It's just those are the parts I had on hand, and it ran. It ran. When I first started it, first revved it, you could hear the pistons tapping. Right? It was like an unmistakable noise. It was very hollow. You know what I mean? Like and then it went away. I guess just that slight bit of compression on the part of the piston that was hitting the head, and that was it. And it ran like that for a while. That engine, okay, you want to go way back, right? That engine was in my 70 GTX. That, if you remember Cars Illustrated magazine, this was 1985, 1986. If you remember either Muscle Car magazine or Cars Illustrated magazine, the green GTX, it was a 4-speed GTX. That's the engine that was in that car. Broke Choker, you once said building a 3.9 Magnum was a waste of time, but why do you feel that way? People, including you, built up the Slant 6. Isn't hot rodding working with you got for cheap as you can? Yes, I agree with that. But that particular engine is weak. It's just not a happy natural design. The Slant 6 is a weak thing too, but the Slant 6 is like that Mopar novelty. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, here's this quaint agricultural thing. Let's play around with it. Where the 3.9 Magnum is just not a happy engine. It's not a happy engine. Anyone that I've ever encountered was way down on power and had miserable gas mileage. I had a Dakota. Back when I first moved here, I had what year was it? It was a 80. I don't remember the year of the Dakota. It had a TBI 3.9 in it, and it sucked. It just sucked. It left a very bad taste in my mouth. But that said, if that's what you have and that's what you want to work with, then yes, by all means, hot rod away. It's just not, you're not going to get the best results out of it. Robert Rio, my friend had a 3.9 powered Dakota running a cam and nitrous, running 12. That's very strong. Nitrous nitrous. Um, let's see. $0.20 motors. The 170/6 is kind of happy, low friction, high revving, and that's its natural. Incarnation. When the engineer sat down to design that engine, it was designed around the 170 size. So the valves, the ports, everything, and especially the bottom end of the engine, everything is designed around the ratios, rod ratio. Everything is designed around that size, and a 170 is a really, really super happy engine. Just like the 383, right? The 383 is when or the low deck, excuse me, when Chrysler engineers designed the big block, their original incarnation was the 361 and the 383. It's the happy natural version of that engine. It was later on, the next year, they increased the deck height and increased the stroke and came up with the RBs, or the 413s. So yes, it's like if you go by what the original vision of the engineers is, that's always the happiest version. These are we're proud of this thing. Let's put it out into the world. And then the bean counters say, yeah, but we need a bigger version. We needed to do this and to do that. I'm like, okay, sure. Here's an extra 3/4 of an inch of deck. Here's an extra 1/2 inch of stroke. Here, it's never what they intended it to be. Tony, did it have a Dana 60? My GTX. Originally, yes, but I put an 8 3/4 in it. I never any car that I ever had. Well, I don't want to say that's true. Most of the cars that I had back in the day that had Danas, I would sell the Dana to somebody who needed a Dana, and I would put an 8 3/4 in it. Hemi Head 68, welcome, brother. How you doing? Shigalo, what deregulation does Trump want? Nobody says the details. Well, you just said it right there. Nobody says the details, so I don't know what deregulation he wants. I'm in favor of any deregulation they can come up with. Right? That's simple. Just hands off, return the government to what the government was supposed to be, which was just to regulate commerce between the states and protection. That's it. That's the only role government, the federal government, is supposed to have constitutionally, according to, right? So, yes, deregulate everything, eliminate every agency, make it all go away, put the power back in the state's hands, and leave it at that. So, but what does he want specifically? I don't know. Again, smaller government is good government. No government is the best government, but it's a necessary evil. So if you're going to have it, make the government work for you. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's the only thing government should do is work for you, be your protection, your umbrella of protection, right? That's it. Okay, so are they going to demolish parts of DC and turn it into parks? Do you realize how many of those office buildings in DC are empty and have been for years? There's and we're heating and cooling and maintaining these buildings for absolutely nothing. Yeah, they should tear a bunch of them down and make parks. Uh-oh. I'm out of tobacco. No, I'm not. I got a fresh one. Okay. Let's see. Can we just get rid of DC altogether in California? You know, there's not going to be much left of DC. If things go the way I think that they're going to go, if things go the way I anticipate them, have anticipated them going for a very long time, long before Trump came into office, even the first time. I anticipate at some point a lot of things that are staples of the government are going to disappear, including the Internal Revenue Service. I think right now the IRS is on the chopping block. He's not saying it yet. He's not saying it yet, but I know that's to fix what's wrong with this country. We have to get rid of the current monetary structure. Okay. The tariffs are a way of creating equality, right, between the countries, right, and also funding the government. Once this system is in place, I think the next thing he's going to start talking about is eliminating the IRS. And instead of an income tax, we'll have a tariff. Our money will come from tariffs. Rocco, 1870 rollback. Yes, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. We are going back to 1870. No question about it. Olive. Olive. Olive is saying the tariffs are nonsensical and inconsistent and cannot make up for the trillions they're handing the rich. Olive. First, they're not nonsensical. It's a global way of doing business. Every country has got tariffs on our stuff. Now all he's doing is equaling it out. Now they're inconsistent because currently he's using it as a bargaining chip. He's saying, okay, 25% for you, unless you want to talk about it. And now they come and they talk about it and they work out a balance. They're inconsistent right now because each of these different trading partners has got a deal specific to them. Our needs, their needs, volume of trade, and the ability to negotiate in our favor. That's where they're currently inconsistent. In the meantime, it's handing the trillions, handing the rich. Who? The tariffs. Okay, look at Wall Street. They're taking a beating because of the tariffs. It's like the opposite. It's like he's taking the trillions away from the rich. Broke Joker, it should be equal across the board. If it isn't, then we don't need, and we can make it ourselves. I think that we can make everything ourselves. We used to make everything ourselves, and there's no reason we can't make everything ourselves again. It's just the people who've been running the world for the last 60 years, 70 years, 100 years like that. You know, they don't have our, as individuals, they don't have our interests at heart. They have the big, I hate to use the word like global, okay? There's no loyalty to any one people. So it's just, this group just bounces from place to place to place, sucks everything dry, and it moves on to the next one. So we were the place, you know, we were feeding the parasitic, you know, rulers through the 50s, 60s, into the 70s, and now it's Asia, and Asia is feeding the parasites, and we were left to the only thing you have to do is look at the vast majority. You go across this country, right? The flyover states, right? The abandoned cities, the abandoned towns, wastelands from coast to coast, and all places that were viable, that during the when America was, quote, you know, great. Well, these were the places: Shreveport, Louisiana, and the goal is to bring all of those places back, and the manufacturing. Gary, Indiana. Yeah, it's just too many of them. Olive, if this made sense, why haven't these rich people been building factories all along? Tariffs or taxes on consumers. They have been building factories, Olive. They've been building them in Vietnam and in Mexico and all of these other places. The rich people have been building. See, this is the thing, right? The rich that you feel are being fed by these tariffs, well, those rich people have outsourced and offshored all of our freaking manufacturing. The tariffs is hurting them. Oh, Shangri-La, thank you for the super chat. Trying to get 20. I'm here. Do you want to deregulate the auto industry? Do you trust big business to produce a safe product? What about safety in the workplace and pollution? It should be left to the states. Okay. Now, as far as the auto industry, obviously it's a national thing, and there should be minimum standards. There's no question about it. But you can only make something so. All right. If you go back to the 1960s, right, where you had really minimal standards. The EPA had just come around. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had just come around. These were good things. They needed basic standards, right? I agree with all of it. I agree with the things that they did. It all made common sense. But then you reach a point where you really can't make it any safer. You can make it different. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we reached a point with standards where it was perfected and then just changed around. Everything needs to be rolled back to around 1990, 1985, 1990. If we could go back to the safety standards and the emission standards and the mileage standards of that period of time, we'd be doing great. We would be doing great. As far as, do I trust big business to produce a safe product? Unless they have to deal with liability. No matter how you look at it, whether the government is going to enforce it or not, people will still get sued. People will still sue. There are still lawyers. Lawyers aren't going anywhere. So yes, even though business, you can't trust business to produce a safe product because they love you, they have to produce a safe product if they intend on staying in business. So that's how I look at it all. Hemihead, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Tony. Could you explain why Nixon got rid of the gold standard? It was just another step in the chain. So the chain starts in 1913, the Federal Reserve. Previous to that, we had gone from a silver standard to a gold standard. We were never on the Constitution. We were never on a gold standard. We were on a silver standard. The dollar is defined as 1 ounce of silver. So you had steps in the chain. So your first step was the incorporation of the Organic Act of 1871. From that point, that allowed, you got to go back even further than that. You had the Civil War. The Civil War laid the groundwork to allow the Organic Act. The Organic Act allowed the groundwork for the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve laid the groundwork for the confiscation of metals from the people. Now, the last step in the chain, before the powers that be could have unlimited access, just print whatever you want. The last step of the chain. The first step was when they took silver out of circulation. 1965 silver was out, and we had clad coins. And then the last step was August 15th, 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window to international redemption. So you could no longer take your dollars from global trade, and swap it for gold. So at that point, all hell broke loose. At that point, there was no fiscal discipline, nothing to hold the powers that be from just printing as much as they want. Just print, and flood the world with dollars. Now, that would not have been possible without Bretton Woods, which basically meant that everything has to be converted to dollars to make trade. So if you're Japan and you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, you have to convert to dollars to make that purchase. And that's the root of the problem that we have now. Because once that the discipline, right, of the gold backing, right, not the gold standard, but the gold backing that Nixon removed, that's where all of the problems we have today stem from. Broke Joker. Being the hot rodder you are, aka boomer, does it ever break your heart seeing racetracks close? I know you've seen a lot come and go. I've seen a lot come and go. Break my heart? No. I'm looking forward to the day that drag racing goes back to its real roots. And around here, we have a lot of that. We have unsanctioned tracks that aren't bound by arbitrary rules, and there's a lot of common sense. Safety is a lot of common sense. I would like to see drag racing. Drag racing will always be here. It'll always be here. But I want to see it really go back to its roots. I want to see it on airport runways and sectioned off industrial parks. It happens. There's lots of stuff like that goes on, and little backyard micro tracks, right? That's what I would love to see. So to see a big track go out, it doesn't really bother me very much. It bothers me when I see a mom and pop place go out. The U.S. dollar was always defined by silver. Yes. You look at the constitutional definition of a dollar. I forget how many grains it is, but the number of grains adds up to 1 ounce of silver. Silver standard. South Jersey gem, right? Ford designed the Pinto in accordance with federal laws. Tory liability claims remedied their negligence. Exactly. LB Bruin, something and JFK was pushing us back to silver certificates. Look what happened. He actually he was in the process of eliminating the Federal Reserve. It was going away. 2 weeks later, he was snuffed. Okay, so then how was the closing of the gold window in 71 a problem if the dollar is linked to silver? The dollar is defined by silver, and there's an exchange rate of how many ounces of silver equal an ounce of gold. So it started out at 20, then it went to 32, then it went to 35, and right now currently it's on the books at $42 an ounce. So according to the government, it takes 42 ounces of silver to convert to 1 ounce of gold. That's the current, and I'm not making this up, that's the current exchange rate, right? Now, don't confuse the dollar with redemption, right? Because the dollar is the unit that we use. That unit is defined as an ounce of silver. But gold is the international monetary standard, has always been the international monetary standard. And so when a country wanted to take its dollars, which was silver, and wanted to get payment for them or return them, they would do it and get gold back. So once you stop that, once you stop offering the gold as redemption, that was it. No more discipline. Gold was the thing that kept the government from just printing as much as it wanted to. And that is the definition of inflation. Olive. Trying to mess with the currency markets, or screwing them up as the current administration does, will not set up a single lathe or forge. It will not. You're absolutely right. I believe that Trump's end game is to eliminate the Fed and eliminate the Federal Reserve note. Okay? Now, this is just my opinion, and this is my opinion after watching this for 30 years. Okay? I have 30 years of paying attention to this now, right? And actually participating in it. So, and which the things I anticipated 30 years ago are actually happening right now. Okay. I anticipate that in steps, what's going to happen is we're teetering towards a depression right now. We will be in a recognized depression soon, within a couple of months. All right. At that period of time, I believe that there's going to be a moratorium on income tax. First step, right? Now, the next step is to eliminate income tax via the IRS entirely. And what people don't understand is that the IRS is nothing but a collection agency for the Federal Reserve. The next step beyond that is going to be eliminate the Federal Reserve. Okay? At that point, we return to a Treasury issued dollar. Now, the bad side of this is that it's going to completely upset the apple cart, right? Things are going upside down, okay? The upside of it is that at some point, all of the debts that people owe in Federal Reserve notes, the current dollar that we know, are going to be wiped clean. So while you're going to have a population that's going to be like, oh my God, we're out of work, completely in debt, everything is all screwed up, they'll get relief by the elimination of their debts. Because when the Federal Reserve goes, the IRS goes, and the Federal Reserve goes, so does the Federal Reserve note, and so does every debt associated with the Federal Reserve note. So your mortgage, your credit card bills, your car payments, all of that stuff wiped clean. This is all going to happen over the next 3 to 4 years. So I was saying, so they will screw the poor who don't have debts. No, they're going to create jobs for the people who don't have debts. They're going to create jobs for the poor. We have poor in this country because we don't have grassroots manufacturing, right? Oh, hello. It's puppies. Why are you letting them in here? You need some help?
Yeah.
All right. Do I need to cut this off? Okay. Oh, it is. Okay. Let's see. You think the banks are just going to walk away from the money they are rightfully owed? I don't think those banks are going to exist, bro. This is going to get very interesting. This is going to get very interesting. So Kathy Bananas is having physical difficulties moving around. That's why she deposited the puppies in here with me now. So I am going to cut this short. All right. Just, I know I hate banks too. Oliver is saying that's astoundingly naive since the banks will have our home much sooner than that, Tony. What jobs built with what? Olive, listen, the only thing I can tell you is trust the plan, okay? That's the only thing I can say. I've been watching, listen, this isn't something that just popped into my head and I just okay, well, here's what's going to happen. No, Olive, I've been on this for 30 years, okay? I've been on this since the last century, all right? And everything that I had thought was going to happen is happening right now. Before Trump, before any of this, I was already on this, okay? So I see where it's going to go. It's going to get really, really ugly for a little period of time, and then yes, Al, there is a plan. Trust me, there is a plan. All right. So listen, I am going to call it quits for tonight. I got to get in there. Everybody who contributed super chat, thank you so much. Always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. Everybody, including you, Owl, everybody who contributed your presence and your conversation, thank you equally. I genuinely appreciate you people. You have no idea. Thank you. And our mods, our fantastic mods. Zero, Mexican Spec, Fubar. Guys, thank you so much for always being here, always having our back. And that's it. I'm going to go in there because she needs help. So I'm just gonna say good night.